The Florida Horse Podcast is brought to you by the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association and the Florida Department of Agriculture. In this episode of the Florida Horse Podcast, FTBOA's Tammy Gantt is joined by Marie Davidson, professor and chair of the Equine Studies program at the College of Central Florida.
So glad you're joining us here today, Marie, here in our studios and talking a little bit about the College of Central Florida programs. And I know you are the professor there and then also the program manager. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Great. Well, so let's talk a little bit about those equine programs, because I think there's a lot of people in our community that know College of Central Florida is very involved with our community, but don't always know the extent of the equine side of it.
Yes, the College of Central Florida actually has a really excellent business program or business department, and the Equine Studies program is a part of that business department. So a lot of people don't even know that we're there. But the Equine Studies program currently is housed at Vintage Farm Campus, which is out on Route 475.
Which sounds so beautiful.
It is absolutely wonderful. And that was a donation to us, an anonymous donation for agribusiness and equine. And we have been developing that facility for those purposes and are looking to do some more improvements on it. Additions, not improvements, because it's beautiful the way it is. But we have 2 horses that are housed at the farm that we use in the program. And we have several horses that come in for specific activities. We are looking at bringing in a 3rd horse this fall who is a broodmare who will be foaling. And so we hope to continue to increase the hands-on involvement of our students in the equine program with real horse activities.
Yeah, which is so important because you have the classroom space, you have the land there, you've got some other types of agribusiness, but the horse part, the most important for your students when they come out is obviously that business side is great.
Absolutely.
But having the hands-on horse experience will set them apart from others who want to be in that field but haven't developed that yet.
Absolutely. The focus we have for our program is 2 different tracks. One is equine exercise physiology. The other is the equine business management. And for those students who come to us with very little background in horses, we're able to bring them along to become comfortable working in a stable and working with horses hands-on. For those people who are already active in the horse industry, and we have quite a few of those now, we are able to provide them with additional understanding of the physiology, anatomy of the horses with regards to developing horses, training horses, maintaining soundness, gait analysis, understanding farrier work, and in addition, looking at rehabilitation processes and different modalities of therapy.
It's so in depth and that's really necessary because when you think about folks in the thoroughbred world specifically, well, in other parts of the industry too, what you think about is these are elite athletes. And so all these modalities are so important.
Absolutely.
When the students come out, because if they're going to be a trainer or they're going to be a farm manager or they're going to run an event, they're going to need to know, okay, what's that horse like on that surface, or what's that horse need? And that's what you're giving them, which is incredible. And those degrees are associate degrees and bachelor degrees.
Actually,
correct?
we have 3 levels of credentialing. We have college credit certificates. We have 2 different specializations in our associate degree. And then we have a bachelor's of business with an equine specialization. So students can choose as they come through which programs they would like to follow. There is a lot of flexibility between the programs. We have some core courses that we feel are important for everyone who is going into the industry. And then the different tracks give students specific courses that will take them further into the details on those types of things that they wish to study.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about you, because I was amazed at your vast equine experience. And so while you do teach the students about all breeds and disciplines, you do have a thoroughbred connection and then also a show connection. You want to talk a little about that?
Sure. Actually, our entire faculty is very well educated. They all have either master's or PhD degrees, in addition to actual industry experience. Myself, I actually started my professional life with horses as a teenager. I was working for a gentleman named Bruce Davidson, who was the world champion at the time, and I had the opportunity to...
And no relation, even though.
No relation. Actually, I was very lucky because my parents were not horse people, and we didn't have the money to buy fancy horses, but they made sure I was involved with the best. And so along that track, I began breaking yearlings and riding some horses, exercise riding for some farms, thoroughbred farms in Pennsylvania, including Dairy Meeting Farm, which was Bettina and Marshall Jenny, and was very lucky to meet some really very nice racehorses back then. One was Northern Dancer.
Oh, Northern Dancer, yes.
You know, I was hooked on thoroughbreds and still am hooked on thoroughbreds. My current horse is actually he's by Burning Roma.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
My other one has Aladar a couple of generations back. So I'm lucky to have some pretty nice horses.
Yeah, that's amazing that you've got a couple nice retired thoroughbreds that you're able to have in your life. It's really,
bet.
really great. And so it's interesting because you said, you were a young girl when you got started with horses. I crawled on a horse before I could walk.
Absolutely.
And so for some of us, it comes very naturally to us. We understand the language of the horse. And so what you're doing at the equine program is helping the next generation understand that language, which is really, really critical.
Absolutely. And honestly, with all the industry experience that I had, I was long-listed for the Olympic team in eventing a couple of times.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I was able to work in many different facets of the industry, including, working with veterinarians and that kind of thing. But when I came to teach in this program, I found that I was still learning, and I still am learning every single day as I research things for these students. There's so much of the technology and our understanding of how horses function, how their body works, how we can better condition them, train them, manage them, that is being researched, that every single time we run a class, we have to go and completely update the class because things are happening so fast.
Yeah.
And understanding that is so vital to making sure that your horses stay sound so that you're not having to go back and rehabilitate horses after they've been injured, but understand, how does the training process help to maintain their soundness? What can you do? What do you look for? Mm-hmm. How do you make sure that these horses are performing at their best? They are elite athletes. And so what we're hoping to do with our students is to give them that extra understanding.
Yeah, that we didn't grow up with.
Exactly.
Because we grew up with the wives' tales,
Absolutely.
Hay, oats, and water, here we go.
You
and
bet.
then, we didn't have nutrition programs or exercise programs for the horses or all the sports physiology type things that we have today, just
Absolutely.
like they have in any other major league sport, whether it be any horse discipline that, again, is all elite athletes. I even think the trail riding horses are elite athletes.
Absolutely.
Because I think about, if I had a pack like, my weight on a horse all day long or on my back carrying it, that would be quite an elite athlete, wouldn't it? So the horses are constantly amazing us because of that. And so I think we're getting a little short on time. So what I want to change the subject to is a little bit is tell me about some of your graduates. I know I met Colin Brennan, who's on the Equine Advisory Board with me at the college. Thank you very much for having us on it.
Absolutely.
But Colin is a good example of one of the
Absolutely.
graduates. So he's in the sales business, the sales and consignment business. And so who's some of those other students that you've seen go on to success? So some folks can have an idea where the students land.
Okay. We have several students in the thoroughbred industry who've been successful. Another one is Christy Whitman, who pinhooked a horse called Medina Spirit. And I believe she hooked him for around $1,000 and sold him for 30 or more.
Yes, and she was,
obviously-
and he was our Florida Bred Horse of the Year. So that was really, really exciting. There was our Florida connection for sure. And she identified right away that the horse definitely was well worth much more than $1,000.
Absolutely.
And she's had some great horses, but that horse kind of put her on the map.
Absolutely. We also have a lot of students who work in the industry, not as trainers, but in support roles, such as Maxine Pena, who was a thoroughbred broodmare manager for Bridlewood Farm with George Isaacs, who's also on our advisory board.
Our FTBOA president.
Yes.
And she actually expanded that role while she was there into social media. And so I don't think the students always think about that. Like, you do need to know the horse world if you want to even go into maybe some of the media and public relations elements. So that's something that Maxine did really well.
Absolutely. We have a number of other students who have gone into running sport horse type operations. So they are trainers. For instance, Isaac Lefkowitz took classes at the college and is a hunter jumper professional. We have Dana Noga, graduate of our program. We have Brianna Gonzalez, who is a recent graduate of our program, who is working with both dressage and event horses. We have Anna Toomey in the dressage world, who is now in North Carolina. And I know I'm forgetting a lot of people.
I think Bailey McClellan, who got married, she actually landed her job at the Gainesville Tourism and Development there, the CVB, and she landed that because they have an equine venue. And then you do have some of your event managers that came out of there. I know Caitlin Grimes is up in the Tallahassee area. And so you've got quite a few students that have actually gone into the field, and some have gone ahead and continued more education. I know like Cassandra Hughes that went through your program.
Exactly.
She went to Kentucky to further her education, and she's a lifelong horse fan. So in addition to the education part, she just loves being around the horse, which I think is what a lot of your students love.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We do. And we have students who go into all different facets of the industry as well, including in sales, in rehabilitation therapy. Some students run their own businesses. Rachel Devick runs a massage therapy business and pulse electromagnetic therapy. So students are able to branch out in all kinds of different ways, and there are so many more opportunities now. For instance, as we talk about the research that's coming, and the changes that are coming, that just provides more opportunities for students. And as a lifelong professional, I've been doing this for over 50 years, which
you started when you were
kind of scary. I was a wee little kid. Yes, actually, I was. But the industry is growing and changing and adapting, and so as an industry professional, you have to be able to do that too. And so some of what we try to do with the students is to provide them the background so that they will have multiple different opportunities as their life progresses to take whatever
so
comes
they can
their
work
way.
for themselves.
You
They
bet.
can start their own business. They can just kind of look to see where those connections can be made as to how they can, really create a seat at the table in the equine world for themselves. So this kind of
Absolutely.
gives them an opportunity to go from the outside of the industry to the inside of the industry and opens up all those opportunities.
Absolutely.
So that's wonderful. Well, I really thank you for joining us today. And I really do appreciate all that you do. I know that the College of Central Florida promotes the involvement in the community, but you have time and time again given back to our industry for the Florida Thoroughbred, in addition to the number of students I've seen as interns come through us and have some great success and learn more. And I'm just excited for what the future holds, because I know you're really on those trends and the technology. And then also, like you said, at the farm, always looking at ways you can expand the operations so that you can encompass more of the equine world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy. And I appreciate your assistance with what we're doing. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, I appreciate you even keeping us on those advisory boards, because I think the advisory boards keep you in touch with
Absolutely.
the industry side. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Florida Horse Podcast has been brought to you by the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association and the Florida Department of Agriculture.
The American Horse Council encourages Florida horse owners and businesses to take the Economic Impact Survey. Showcasing the economic impact from this survey helps inform local and state political leaders, encourages investment in land and equine businesses, and job impact. Take the survey today. Visit horsecouncil.org. This public service announcement is brought to you by Horse Capital TV and the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association.